Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com or our official YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jacob Tiranno, going through CinemaCon 2018 with you. If you've not seen anything yet, I've already recapped the Disney presentation from today, the Sony presentation from yesterday, and the STX presentation from today. Click that white eye, you can find all of that information on there. Or if you've been following me on Twitter, at Jacob Tiranno, where I've been live tweeting all of these presentations and told you to watch this video. Thank you for coming to follow up and check it out. I'm going to try to go into more detail and give you the answers that you want. Warner Brothers always tends to give me the most activity when it comes to presentation, and that's what I'm talking about today. Warner Brothers, the big picture, as they call it, their presentation, which is going to be highlighting many a film. So let's hop right into it. With no further ado, we're going to be talking about Warner Brothers' presentation at CinemaCon 2018. Now, Warner Brothers started off really kind of praising last year. They were talking about how it was their biggest year yet with films like Dunkirk and Wonder Woman and It. They tipped their hat off to Clint Eastwood, a filmmaker who's been working with them for quite some time, as well as Steven Spielberg, which gives them a little time to give a shout out to Ready Player One. And they just kind of talked about all of these things that put them where they are now, and now it's time to look for the future. So they showed us a small sizzle reel, and this is when my Twitter got unreal. The footage, the sizzle reel featured very, very minute footage from Aquaman and Fantastic Beasts, the Crimes of, the sequel coming out. Now, immediately, everybody was tweeting me about Aquaman. People were like, leak the footage. I mean, no. And if you are one of those people and you're watching this video, don't ask people to leak stuff. That's not how we work. If we work in the industry, that's exactly what we don't want. We don't want to see that. That's just not how we want things to go. So that's a no. But people were dying for me to tell them what happened. And things happen so fast. It's hard sometimes to capture everything, to remember everything, because you're trying to report. You're tweeting, you're watching, you're tweeting, you're watching, you're trying your best to get as much information out as you can. So, if I can't recite the entire thing for you, I'm sorry. Hopefully, maybe there are people who are better at this than I am that can, but I doubt it. Trust me, guys, I'm giving you what you need to know. So, in the Aquaman footage, which is what everyone was asking about, don't worry, we'll get back to Fantastic Beasts. We had Aquaman in a submarine ship. Would look like kind of like a submarine battleship or something. Just kicking ass and taking names. Major action sequences. And then at one point, a sword gets thrown at him and he stops it, clapping his hands with the edge of the sword, just like right here. Great shot, got a big applause, and that's kind of when the sizzle reel came to a close. Now, I even said, like, look, not a lot of footage, guys. Don't freak out. That's not it. It's going to come back because we have 90 minutes to film. So, for the first time this year at CinemaCon, you know, sometimes it happens. It's the first time it happened this year. They had a celebrity host. Usually it's some exec of either their company or head of distribution. This time, Warner Brothers had Will Arnett, Lego Batman himself, host the event. And I have to tell you, granted, I know that this isn't the stuff you guys care about necessarily, but it wasn't the best. I mean, a lot of the jokes that were written for Will just seemed very tacky. He was shoehorning dates all the time. I mean, while every studio is advertising dates and obviously just advertising their films, they don't seem so, like, consumerist. Well, that's not true. Sometimes they do, but they weren't just like, Aquaman is swimming in theaters, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was just a bit much. Anyway, they did not bury the lead talking about DC. They showed another sizzle reel, which was mostly focused on concept art. The same concept art I saw last year when they teased Aquaman, and people were dying to ask me about it. They also showed concept art for Shazam, which I will say, I know there are a lot of very, very dedicated, loving DC fans. But I call it as I see it, and I don't want any hate. I don't want to start a fight here, but I will tell you, Shazam is yet to really kind of pique my interest. But the behind-the-scenes footage in this sizzle reel compared it to Big, you know, compared it to Big with Tom Hanks saying, like, oh, it's about this kid who grows up to be an adult but also has superpowers. You know, it's a movie in which a kid who wants to be Superman becomes his own version of Superman, and just the funny ideologies that a kid has to learn that he has superpowers, but also an adult. Aquaman we're going to get into. They showed some stuff. They showed some things of Atlantis. They showed some more footage, but don't worry, guys. We're going to get there. Then we hit Wonder Woman 2, all concept art. We got an image of Cheeto, which was one question that we got. We did get that, but it went really quick. But Patty Jenkins was talking that she's pumped to come revisit the character, who got much love from everybody around worldwide box office. So that's cool. Then the director and cast of Aquaman came out. You know, Jason Momoa, James Wan, the director of the film, the star Aquaman. Amber Heard was there. They came out talking about what it's like to work on Aquaman. And one thing that Amber Heard said that I thought was really important to mention was that they respect the dignity of the characters, quote unquote. So that got kind of the audience riled. Like they're glad to hear this, because many DC fans are kind of conflicted with Zack Snyder and not being true to the characters. Or, I mean, there's a huge conflict with DC right now. I'm sure if you're a DC fan and you're watching this and you follow DC on Twitter, or not necessarily the comics, but just the conversation, or just the film's receptions, there's a lot of conflicts of like releasing the Snyder cut, the studio's involvement, Zack Snyder's involvement. But let me tell you, from what it seems like, Aquaman could be a game changer. Now I'll get back to it. Will Arnett told James Wan and Patrick Wilson to get a room. Patrick Wilson was also on stage. He plays Aquaman's brother in the film, because it's James Wan and Patrick Wilson's 5th collaboration. And but, you know, after the joke, Wilson was really nice to say this guy relies on character and relationships. And obviously he's talking about James Wan, the director. And James Wan then told us that he has a little something to show us, and that he didn't want to bring anything, actually, but the studios made him. He was obviously kind of joking, but I'm sure, you know, a lot of filmmakers don't want to show their stuff too early. And this was a lot of unfinished, unrendered footage. But I will say, the footage in Aquaman got a huge response from the crowd, and it was well deserved. Because it looks like what DC fans want. It wants a different world. We're out of the Zack Snyder mentality. We're exploring Atlantis, which is colorful and bright and vivid. We have characters being a lot more fun and playful. I mean, it really offered what DC could be. And if you are a fan of what DC is making now, that's fine. But I'm telling you, this could be the difference. This could be the game changer. I mean, I think Wonder Woman did a phenomenal job opposed to Suicide Squad, Dawn of Justice, and Batman vs. Superman, or Justice League and Dawn of Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. I mean, seeing the concept art a year ago and then seeing that footage made me excited. And I mean, of course, like a movie fan sitting in a theater surrounded by movie people watching a trailer for something that not many people get to see, of course, is exciting and gets that hype up. But I'm a James Wan fan. I'm a fan of what he's done with horror, which we'll get to also in this conversation. But I think he could really make that character, who is constantly the butt of a lot of jokes, a fun, entertaining, and arguably one of the most entertaining origin stories. Now, I'm trying to type all of this and tweet all of this to people. And in between, they showed an extended clip of Life of the Party, the Melissa McCarthy film, in which was directed by her husband, Ben Falcone. And she goes back to college as she's older. It was kind of funny, but I was so focused on trying to tell everyone how Aquaman was, I didn't really get to pay much attention. But I'm a McCarthy fan, even though some of her recent projects are questionable. I think, you know, we'll just have to see how that one goes. But Life of the Party, they had her and her ex-husband arguing in a boardroom. It was funny, but I was so focused on Aquaman because I know that's what you guys care about. I didn't get one tweet about Life of the Party, but I got at least 100 about Aquaman. Another question that I got, yes, we did get Black Manta. We did get an image of Black Manta. Not a still or anything. It was in the footage, but it looked like unrendered CGI. It was an unrendered picture. It didn't look very good, so I didn't want to go too much about that. But as I mentioned earlier, there was a scene in which Aquaman claps a sword between his hands. Probably Black Manta's sword. Only makes sense. Now, also in the footage, we had a younger Aquaman clapping a trident in his hands, stopping a trident from getting him in the face. And I think, obviously, it's going to be one of the situations in which we're going to see that echoed as a boy into him as an adult. Yeah, I think Aquaman is going to be fun. And, you know, I think it's something that DC has, which originally I was like, Aquaman, you know, but I think it's something where DC can really offer a big change and give us, you know, not hopefully upset too many people, but I mean, I don't know. The whole DC thing is really weird. I mean, if you look at Twitter or YouTube or how people reacted to the negative reviews of the film or how people have talked about DC, sometimes they defend it without reason. Other people blatantly hate the studio. Others blatantly hate Zack Snyder for ruining the DC franchise. I don't know, but this is the one film that I feel a ray of hope from. That and Wonder Woman 2, because I really enjoyed Wonder Woman 1, but Aquaman still feels different. Wonder Woman, while different and directed by a very talented woman, Patty Jenkins, I think Aquaman's going to be a game changer. Now, moving forward. If you have more questions, you know, if I ever talk about anything and you want to know more or you have questions, you could either tweet me at Jacob Tiranno, where I'm live tweeting CinemaCon presentations all the time, so you should follow me anyway. Or you could leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer your questions or address what you have to talk about. Now, moving on to Warner Brothers, we have Ocean's 8, yes. The spin-off of Ocean's 11, starring the women, all of which were there besides Rihanna and Helen Bonham Carter. During the interview, Cate Blanchett said, "I thought it was nuts. How are you going to pull this off?" when she first read the script. And then Sandra Bullock played some new footage. Most of it looked pretty familiar from the trailer. Maybe, you know, a few things were different. I can't say that I'm overly excited about this film or anything in this trailer made me even more excited. It looked all too kind of familiar from what we were already seeing. But I think it's going to be a good time. And plus, I was still answering tweets about Aquaman. I'm not going to lie. Then they jumped into horror movies. They started saying, like, oh, we just brought the Conjuring series out. We have It. And then they played us a sizzle reel of The Conjuring, the next installment of the Conjuring franchise, which is The Nun. And The Nun looked creepy. Yes, The Nun that we saw mostly in The Conjuring 2 kind of really brought to life and scared some people. She's going to be getting her own film, which looks pretty daunting and terrifying and creepy. I think The Nun alone looks quite terrifying, but it's set in this very old Italian-like horror film. Like, it's almost like the classic monster movies, and that to me really intrigued me because I'm a fan of the classic monster stuff, and it looks like it's going to replicate the settings of those movies. Then we got to talk about It Chapter 2 a little bit. No cast reveals, no footage. Obviously, they haven't even started shooting. But the director of the film told us to bring our adult diapers, and it's going to be really fun to revisit these characters. And that, of course, all of us are looking forward to. Both September releases. I believe The Nun is this September on the 7th, and then It Chapter 2 is September 6th, 2019. So September 7th, 2018 is The Nun. September 6th, 2019 is It Chapter 2. After the horror sizzle reel, we brought up the entire cast of Tag, the new comedy about a group of friends that play tag 1 month out of the year. Ed Helms was there, John Hamm, Isla Fisher, you had Renee, Johnson, Hannibal Buress, Bibb, Wallace. All of them have taken the stage to talk about Tag, showing some footage. I can't say that this movie really intrigues me. Again, Jeremy Renner, we've seen this again in the trailer. It doesn't really stand out to me. There might have been some new clips, but nothing that made me go, oh man, Tag's going to be this breakthrough film. Sorry if you're really looking forward to that. The next couple were really just kind of, then we looked at Meg, the new film with Jason Statham, where he's tackling a megalodon, another shark movie. I feel like if you're excited for Meg, you're going to be excited for Meg no matter what they show, and I don't think they showed any groundbreaking footage here. Pretty much, there's a big shark and there's a guy. They showed one clip that I didn't see from the trailers where we kind of see someone get chopped out a little bit, chomped on a little bit, and it looked a little bit vicious. But again, nothing that I was like, everyone wants to know about this moment in the Meg. Not saying I'm getting lazy, but I'm just saying I was picking my choices here and trying to remember, what I needed to remember for this video. Moving forward, one of my highlights of CinemaCon thus far, Constance Wu took the stage. for the new film Crazy Rich Asians. Now, Crazy Rich Asians is the first Hollywood studio film with an all-Asian cast in 25 years. Now, that's huge. And the fact that Constance Wu is in it, an actress who I'm in love with. She is so good in Fresh Off the Boat, and I think she is just beautiful and funny and a really, really talented actress. I mean, Fresh Off the Boat is obviously a lighthearted sitcom, but she has these moments where she can really communicate emotion quite well, you know, with her eyes, with her subtleties, and I'm looking forward to this movie, and I think hopefully it'll be a good time. Then we went animated, and we started talking about Teen Titans Go to the Movies. And when I first saw this trailer, or teaser, whatever they actually have released out there right now, it's kind of like, eh. But seeing the footage of the upcoming film that they showed, I laughed quite a bit, actually. No surprise, kind of like the Lego Batman movie. And, you know, what DC, which I find quite interesting, is they make the DC cinematic universe the butt of a lot of the jokes. I remember specifically seeing a poster in which the Teen Titans go to the movies and they are behind them seeing Yawn of Justice. And there seem to be a lot of jokes already about the Batman and Superman movie as well as the other DC stuff. But I would just say it looks quite entertaining. It looks fun. It looks silly. And again, as I said last night doing the Sony Pictures presentation, if you haven't seen my recap of that, click that wide eye. You can find all the presentations that we're recapping. I love the idea of more mainstream animation. Not just for kids, not just for families, but in the superhero realm. Like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is obviously meant for younger kids and, you know, a whole family audience gathering, but I think it's an interesting way to allow other filmmakers to explore superheroes. So I'm fine with that. They also showed footage from an upcoming animated film called Smallfoot, which follows a Yeti who has to prove to his people that humans exist. You know, a little vice versa, get it? Smallfoot. And Channing Tatum, Zendaya, and Common took the stage to talk about it a bit. Nothing really standing out there. Looks, you know, yeah. Then we got to be graced with the presence of Andy Serkis himself, along with Benedict Cumberbatch, Cate Blanchett, Matthew Rhys, and Rahan Chand. And they were talking about their upcoming adaptation of the Jungle Book story, Mowgli. You know, they really focused on us telling us that this is a much darker, heavier version of this famous story. And Cumberbatch made it a point to say that Andy is a fantastic storyteller, which most of us already know from his incredible work in the Planet of the Apes franchise. Though Andy Serkis is also behind the camera in this movie. And they showed us a clip, and I'm excited for it. I, unlike many people, wasn't crazy about the new Jungle Book movie. I thought it was fine. I didn't actually like the actor who played Mowgli. And from what I saw from the trailer here, I'm a fan of this Mowgli. But I'm interested in seeing what they do. I think it looks great, and especially bringing in the elements of... oh man, it's going to kill me to think about this. But Andy Serkis is the technology that they use for War of the Planet of the Apes. I want to call it stop motion, but it's not called stop motion. I know everyone's going to yell at me. They're probably yelling at the screen right now saying, Jake, it's this, it's this, it's this. But that type of motion, that type of animation, and bringing that into Jungle Book, and I think implementing that in the CGI could be really big. And I thought from what we saw, it looks really intriguing, it looks really intense. And while it didn't look incredibly dark, I was like, I'm ready for this. You know, I'm all for it. So Mowgli, another one to look out for. And then we moved on to Bradley Cooper's directorial debut in a film that we've seen made 3 times already, A Star is Born. That's right. If you aren't familiar with A Star is Born, there's a version in, I believe, the late 30s, the mid-50s, and then 76. And now we're getting it again, starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. And I think they showed us a trailer. Bradley Cooper was there to introduce it. And I gotta tell you, I think it looks really good. I think it's going to be an Academy Award caliber film. I think it looks like the performances are going to be quite good. I think it's going to be emotional. I think it looks like it's going to offer a lot of good elements. And that film has always done quite well in terms of awards. And this movie looks no different. I'm really hoping for, you know, I mean, and for a directorial debut, that's a big ask. Maybe Greta Gerwig and Jordan Peele won't be the only ones moving into the Academy Awards with their debut features. Well, obviously they're not anymore because it was last year, but you know what I mean. And then lastly, the cast of Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, took the stage, including Eddie Redmayne, Ezra Miller, Dan Folger, and Catherine Waterston, and they introduced some unseen footage. And to be honest, this footage didn't really stick with me, even as I'm thinking now. I didn't remember much. There was a lot of Ewan McGregor interacting with Eddie Redmayne. There was some students practicing some spells. I don't know this. I'm not a major Harry Potter fan, so you guys are probably gonna call me an idiot. But it sounded like they were all saying ridiculous or ridiculoso. No, ridiculous. But they were doing that. And they didn't show you what they were doing, but they obviously were performing some magic. We saw a lot of creature bits. There were some unfinished footage in there as well. Johnny Depp, obviously, kind of just walking through the streets. A lot of different creatures were introduced, though. Most of them not finished. But again, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a fan of Fantastic Beasts, Where to Find Them. I thought that film was really, really drab. I didn't think it had much going for it in terms of heart or character or just story. I thought it was very blah. And I have to be honest, I'm not like crazy excited about this film either. But you never know. Hopefully it's the movie that turns it all around. Either way, that's going to wrap it up for the Warner Brother presentation. Guys, like I said, follow me on Twitter at Jacob Tiranno. So, because I'm live tweeting all these presentations, you could get this information live plus some. And you can tweet me, ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you have questions now, tweet me. Let me know. Maybe I can answer some questions or talk more on a topic that you wanted me to speak on more here. Ask me a questions. Hopefully I'll be able to answer it. Again, click that white eye, find all the presentations that we already covered. Find movie reviews and all that good stuff on ChasingCinema.com. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Tiranno, and please continue chasing cinema.